He steps back, eyes locked on the rim. The chase center holds its breath. The shot clock ticks down 5, 4, 3. Then, with the effortless flick of his wrist, the ball takes flight. The arc is perfect. The rotation, flawless. And in that split second, time seems to pause. Then dash switch. The net barely moves. The roar of the crowd explodes into a deafening wave. A sea of hands shooting into the air as thousands of voices merge into one. The historic moment has arrived. Stephen Curry, the greatest shooter the game has ever seen, has just hit his 4,000th career three-pointer. For most players, making a single three in an NBA game is a highlight. For Curry, it has become second nature, yet this one was different. This wasn't just another three-pointer. This was the kind of shot that cements legacies, the kind of record that may stand for generations, the first and only player to ever cross this threshold. But take a step back, really think about it. 4,000. Let that number sink in. Ray Allen's all-time record was once considered untouchable at 2,973. Reggie Miller's 2,560 felt like an unbreakable feat, and yet, here we are. Curry has shattered expectations, rewritten history, and redefined what's possible from beyond the arc. The moment wasn't just about numbers. It was about impact, the energy in the arena, the cheer on the faces of fans, the respect from his teammates and opponents alike. This was more than just basketball. It was a testament to years of dedication, innovation, and pure, unfiltered greatness. And as the crowd erupts, as the video tribute plays on the Jumbotron, Curry takes a moment on the bench, eyes fixed on the screen. He sees the face of Andris Biedrins, the man who assisted his very first three-pointer back in 2009, a full-circle moment. 16 years, thousands of hours in the gym, countless defenders trying to stop him, and yet, here he is, still rising, still pushing the game forward. What happens next? How do you celebrate a milestone no one else has ever reached? And more importantly, where does Curry go from here? Some players changed the game. Stephen Curry reinvented it. Before Curry, the three-pointer was a two-man option, a strategic weapon used sparingly. Today, it is the foundation of modern basketball. Defenses are stretched to their breaking point. Big men are forced to step out to the perimeter, and entire teams have built their offenses around a simple truth. If you can shoot from anywhere, you are unstoppable. And no one embodies that truth more than Stephen Curry. When he entered the league in 2009, there were doubts. Too small, too fragile, a great shooter. Sure, but could he survive in a league dominated by giants? What happened next shattered every expectation, shot by shot, season by season. Curry didn't just prove he could survive. He reshaped the sport itself. His limitless range, lightning-quick release, and fearless confidence turned what once seemed impossible into routine. But for 1,000, even for him, this is something else. No player in NBA history had even approached this milestone. Think about the legends of the game: Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, Kobe Bryant. All incredible shooters, all Hall of Famers. None of them reached this number. But for Curry, it was never a question of if, only when. And when that shot fell against the Kings, it wasn't just another record. It was a statement, a reminder that even after 16 seasons, even after changing basketball forever, he's still finding ways to go beyond what anyone thought was possible. So how did we get here? How did a kid from Davidson become the most influential player of his generation? And what was it like to witness history in real time? Let's take a look back at the game, the moment, the reactions, and most importantly, what's next for the greatest shooter of all time? The road to 4,000. It all started with a single shot. October 30th, 2009. A young rookie in a Golden State Warriors jersey steps onto the court in Phoenix. The NBA world doesn't know it yet, but they're about to witness the first chapter of something legendary. Late in the game, the ball swings to him beyond the arc. He sets his feet, releases, and swish, his first career three-pointer. Back then, no one could have predicted what was coming. Fast forward 16 years, and that same player Stephen Curry has turned three-point shooting into an art form, a weapon, a revolution. He didn't just master the deep shot, he made it the most dangerous skill in basketball. Defenses adjusted, teams restructured their offenses. Entire playbooks were rewritten because of one man. But getting to 4,000, that was something even he hadn't imagined at the start. His journey to the record wasn't just about volume, it was about evolution. Early in his career, he was already deadly from range, but as time passed, his range expanded, the shots got deeper, quicker, more, impossible, step backs, side steps, off-balance floaters from 35 feet. What used to be a last-second desperation attempt for most players became routine for him. And that's how we got here. As the milestone approached, anticipation grew by the day. Analysts started doing the math. Fans tracked every three-pointer, calculating when it might happen. Would it be at home? Would it be in a high-stakes battle? Would he hit it in classic Curry fashion, casually pulling up from the logo? Then, the schedule lined up. March 14, 2025. Warriors versus Kings, a home game. A packed Chase Center, a stage perfectly set for history. The buzz was undeniable. Everyone inside the arena, watching on TV or following online, knew what was coming. The countdown had begun. One shot, one moment, one more entry in the record books. And when the night finally arrived, Curry stepped onto the floor, fully aware of what was at stake. But the real question was, how would it happen? The historic night, Warriors versus Kings, anticipation was electric. March 14, 2025. The Golden State Warriors, fresh off a 5-game win streak, were set to face the Sacramento Kings. But this wasn't just another game. This was the night Stephen Curry had a chance to do what no player in NBA history had ever done before: reach for 1,000 career three-pointers. Pre-game atmosphere, all eyes on Curry from the moment the doors to Chase Center opened. There was a different kind of energy in the air. Fans weren't just here for a game, they were here for history. Every conversation, every pre-game show, every expert panel revolved around one question: when will Curry hit the milestone? Players could feel it too. In warm-ups, Curry casually sank deep shots from every angle, one from the tunnel, another from half court. Each swish sent the crowd into a frenzy, as if they were mentally counting down. Even the Kings, his opponents, knew they were about to be part of something special. The broadcasters framed it perfectly. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back and enjoy. We are about to witness another chapter in basketball history. Then, the lights dimmed, the starting lineups were announced, and with a high-energy ovation, Curry took the floor. The game begins. Curry's first attempts from the opening tip. You could sense that this wasn't just a game, it was a spectacle. Every time Curry touched the ball, the crowd leaned forward, waiting for the shot. 5 minutes into the first quarter, the moment almost arrived. Draymond Green found Curry open on the left wing. He set his feet, launched, and bang, his first three of the night. 3,999. The entire arena erupted, some fans already on their feet, expecting the next one to come at any moment. A minute later, he got another look, a deep pull-up from the top of the arc. The shot was online, but it hit the front rim. A collective gasp. The anticipation was building. By halftime, Curry had yet to hit the big one. Every attempt carried weight. Every missed drawing groans from the crowd. The Kings, fully aware of what was happening, tightened their defense, but everyone knew it was just a matter of time. The defining moment. 4,000 three-pointer. Then came the third quarter. 8:19 left on the clock. The Warriors were rolling, holding a comfortable lead, but all eyes were on one man. Moses Moody drove into the paint, drawing defenders in before kicking it out to the right wing. Curry was there. He caught the pass, barely hesitated, and with a quick flick of the wrist he let it fly. Time seemed to slow. The ball soared through the air, spinning perfectly as it arched toward the rim. The crowd held their breath. Swish. The sound was barely audible over the instant eruption of thousands of voices. Fans leaped to their feet. Teammates ran toward him, and the Chase Center shook with a celebration unlike any other. The Warriors bench exploded. Even Kings players couldn't help but acknowledge the greatness they had just witnessed. Curry, as always, stayed cool, just a small nod, a glance upward, taking it all in. 4,000. A number that once seemed impossible. The video tribute. A nostalgic surprise as the game paused. A tribute played on the Jumbotron. A highlight reel of Curry's greatest shots, spanning from his rookie year to now. Then, a familiar face appeared on the screen. Andris Biedrins. The crowd roared, but Curry, he froze. Biedrins was the player who assisted his very first career three-pointer back in 2009. Seeing him again, sending a message from across the world, brought everything full circle. For a rare moment, Curry looked truly emotional. 16 years, from a rookie with potential to the undisputed greatest shooter of all time. It was a journey that had redefined basketball itself. As the applause continued, Curry wiped his face, gave a small smile, and nodded once more. But the night wasn't over. because after 4,000, the only question left was, what's next? The shot had barely touched the net before the celebrations began. The Chase Center was on its feet, fans screaming, players grinning, and the Warriors bench swarming Stephen Curry. 4,000 three-pointers, a milestone no one had ever reached before. Coach Steve Kerr's talk eased, the crowd slowly settled, and the game resumed. The cameras panned to Warriors head coach Steve Kerr, who couldn't hide his smile. During the post-game press conference, when asked how the team would celebrate Curry's latest achievement, Kerr smirked and said, "What do you get for the guy who has everything? Maybe I'll give him a day off." The room burst into laughter, but behind the joke was something deeper: a coach's admiration for his star player. Kerr has seen greatness up close. He played alongside Michael Jordan, coached multiple championship teams, and has been a part of some of the most iconic moments in NBA history. But even he seemed in awe of what Curry had just accomplished. "I think we're all a little desensitized to it," Kerr admitted. "Every night, he does something that just blows your mind. 4,000 threes, that's insane. The best part is, he's not done, and that was the scariest part for the rest of the league." Reactions from the NBA community as soon as Curry's 4,000th shot went in, the internet erupted. Players, analysts, and fans all over the world flooded social media with tributes, highlights, and messages of respect. Portland coach Chauncey Billups, who played against Curry in his early years, put it simply, "He's something like we've never seen." Kings coach Doug Christie, who had witnessed the evolution of three-point shooting firsthand, reflected on how records that once seemed impossible were now being rewritten. "I remember when Reggie Miller's 2,560 was considered an untouchable number. Now look where we are. Steph didn't just break records, he shattered what we thought was possible." Even players who had competed against Curry for years, guys like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Damian Lillard, sent out messages of admiration. They understood what it took to reach this level, and they knew this wasn't just another number. It was a legacy-defining moment. The Warriors locker room celebration. Back in the Warriors locker room, the team had prepared something special. As Curry walked in, his teammates erupted in cheers, dousing him with water bottles in classic, celebratory fashion. Hanging in each locker was a custom black t-shirt commemorating the milestone. On the front, for K, even in a locker room full of champions, this was something different. This wasn't just about stats, this was about witnessing history firsthand. Draymond Green, always the voice of the team, put it best, "We've all had front row seats to the greatest shooter ever, and it still doesn't feel real." Curry, soaked and smiling, took a moment to look around. This was more than a celebration, it was a reminder of the journey. From a skinny kid at Davidson to an NBA icon, he had climbed higher than anyone ever imagined. And the best part, he wasn't finished yet. The night was his, the record was his, but the story, that was still being written. What this means for Curry as the final buzzer sounded and the celebrations began to fade. Stephen Curry took a quiet moment for himself. He stood at center court, looking around at the roaring Chase Center crowd, fans still chanting his name, still on their feet, still in awe of what they had just witnessed. This wasn't just another record. This was a reflection of his entire journey from the beginning. Nothing about Curry's rise was guaranteed. Too small, too thin, not athletic. Enough those were the labels placed on him when he entered the league in 2009. Even after being drafted, there were doubts. Could he stay healthy? Could a three-point shooter really be the cornerstone of a franchise? Could he survive in a league built for giants? Now, 16 years later, he wasn't just surviving. He was redefining greatness. In his post-game interview, Curry's voice carried the weight of the moment. He didn't talk about the records or the numbers. Instead, he talked about the people. From my teammates to the coaches, to my family, to Dub Nation, I couldn't have done any of this without them. Every single one of them is part of this journey. This isn't just my moment. This is ours. That's what made Curry different. It wasn't just about making history, it was about sharing it. He spoke about his father, Del Curry, who first put a basketball in his hands. The years of practicing in empty gyms, the endless hours perfecting his shot, the belief that was instilled in him long before the world recognized it. He spoke about his teammates, the guys who set the screens, made the passes, and trusted him to take the biggest shots of their careers. The bond they had built over championships, adversity, and everything in between. And of course, he spoke about the fans. From the moment I hit my first three to this one, y'all have been with me. I could feel the energy in the building all night. It was like every shot had a little extra weight. Because of it, y'all gave me that boost. And I hope you know I appreciate every single one of you. There was something powerful about the way he said it. This wasn't rehearsed. This was real. A legend standing in front of thousands, humbled by the journey. As he looked around one last time, soaking it all in, a question hung in the air. What's next? Curry smiled. Man, we're not done yet. What's next? Could Curry reach 8,000? As the confetti settled and the celebration continued, Warriors head coach Steve Kerr couldn't help but throw in a little humor. Standing before reporters, he smiled and casually tossed out a number that sent the room buzzing. Well, I guess the next stop is 8,000, right? Laughter followed, but deep down, everyone knew with Stephen Curry, nothing is impossible. Could anyone else join the 4,000 club? For years, records like Reggie Miller's and Ray Allen seemed untouchable, but Curry didn't just break those numbers, he obliterated them. Now, the question isn't just about what's next for him, but if anyone else will ever get close. Right now, James Harden sits at 3,127 threes. Behind him, Damian Lillard with 2,794. They're the only active players remotely within reach, and both have built their careers on deep shooting. But even with their talent, their window to 4,000 is closing fast. Harden is already 35, and Lillard, though still elite, is years behind Curry's pace. Then there's the next generation. Trae Young, Luka Doncic, Anthony Edwards. Talented, absolutely capable of hitting deep shots, without a doubt. But to match Curry's legacy, it's not just about talent, it's about longevity, consistency, and a relentless obsession with perfecting the shot. That's what separates him from everyone else. How far can Curry push his record? Curry's 4,000th three-pointer didn't feel like the end of something. It felt like another chapter. He's in his 16th season, but he's still playing at an elite level. His footwork, his quick release, his ability to create space, it hasn't faded. And as long as he keeps going, the records will keep falling. So, could he really reach 5,000? 6,000? What about Kerr's joke 8,000? On paper, it sounds ridiculous, but so did 4,000 a decade ago. And the way Curry keeps evolving, keeps pushing the limits of what's possible, makes you wonder, where does it stop? Maybe the real question isn't how many more threes he can hit. Maybe it's how many more times he can change the game before he's done. Celebrating greatness and players leave their mark on the game. Stephen Curry rewrote its very DNA. From his first three-pointer in 2009 to his historic 4,000th shot, Curry has shattered every expectation, every record, and every preconceived notion of what's possible from beyond the arc. The impossible has become routine, the unthinkable just another night at the office. He hasn't just influenced the way teams play, he's inspired an entire generation. Think about it. Young kids today don't just dream of dunking like Michael Jordan or dominating like Shaquille O'Neal. They're out on their driveways, pulling up from 30 feet, trying to imitate the man who made the deep three the most feared shot in basketball. Because of Curry, the game will never be the same, but the story isn't finished. How much further can he go? Is 5,000 threes in reach? 6,000? Could he push it to a number that no one will ever catch? No one knows the answer. But one thing is certain, Curry isn't done yet. So now, we turn to you. How many threes do you think Curry will end his career with? Will anyone ever come close to breaking his record? Drop your predictions in the comments. We want to hear from you. And if you've enjoyed this breakdown of a historic moment, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more NBA content, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story like this. Before we go, let's take a moment to relive the magic Curry's greatest threes of all time. Sit back, watch, and appreciate the greatest shooter the game has ever seen.